The morning sky over New Phoenix Colony turned black with alien ships. Lisa Kane stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty and watched through the viewport as hundreds of enemy vessels blotted out the sun. The Zeltharian Empire had finally come. For humanity. "Captain, we're getting readings on their fleet composition," said Lieutenant Jake Murphy from his station. His voice stayed steady, but Lisa could hear the fear underneath. 500 warships, maybe more. Their flagships are twice the size of anything we have. Lisa nodded and kept her face calm. She had known this day would come. The Zeltharians had been conquering worlds across the galaxy for centuries. They crushed every species they encountered with overwhelming force and advanced technology. Humanity had always been next on their list. "Communications. Get me Colonel Lee," she ordered. Communications Officer Pete Johnson worked quickly at his console. Within seconds, the gruff face of Colonel Marcus Lee appeared on the main screen from the Orbital Defense Station. "Kane, you seeing this?" Lee asked. Behind him, alarms were going off and people were running around in panic. "Hard to miss, sir," Lisa replied. "What are your orders?" "We're outgunned 20-1. Maybe worse. I'm ordering a full evacuation of all military assets. We fall back to the inner colonies and regroup." Lisa looked out at the colony below. New Phoenix was home to 3 million people. The evacuation ships could maybe take half of them before the aliens reached the surface. "What about the civilians still down there?" "They'll have to surrender and hope the Zeltharians show mercy," Lee said. His voice was bitter. "We can't save everyone, Kane. If we stay and fight, we lose everything. Sir, request permission to remain behind with a skeleton crew. Someone needs to buy time for the evacuation." Lee stared at her for a long moment. "That's suicide, Captain." "Maybe, but it's the right thing to do." The colonel sighed. "Permission granted. You have whatever volunteers want to stay with you. Good luck, Kane." The transmission ended. Lisa turned to her crew. "You heard the colonel. Anyone who wants to leave can transfer to the evacuation ships. No shame in it. We're probably not coming back from this." Sergeant Amy Brooks stepped forward first. "I'm staying, Captain. These people deserve someone to stand up for them." Lieutenant Murphy nodded. "Count me in, too." One by one, her entire bridge crew volunteered to stay. Lisa felt a swell of pride mixed with sadness. These brave people were choosing almost certain death to protect strangers. "All right, then," she said. "Let's make the Zeltharians work for it." The alien fleet began, moving toward the planet. Their ships were sleek and deadly, painted in the dark purple of the Zeltharian Empire. Energy readings showed weapons that could crack a planet's crust. No human technology could match them. "Captain, incoming transmission from the enemy fleet," Pete reported. "Put it through." The screen filled with an alien face that looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect. Yellow eyes studied Lisa with cold intelligence. When it spoke, the universal translator made its voice sound like grinding. "Metal. I am War Commander Vextar Zol of the Zeltharian Third Fleet. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us." Lisa stood straighter. "This is Captain Lisa Kane of the Earth Defense Force. New Phoenix Colony is under our protection. If you want it, you'll have to take it." The alien's mouth opened in what might have been laughter. "Your species amuses me, human. You face the might of an empire that has conquered 1,000 worlds, yet you still resist. Very well. We will demonstrate why resistance is futile." The transmission cut off. Immediately, the lead Zeltharian ships opened fire. Beams of pure energy lanced down from orbit, striking the outer defense platforms. The massive structures exploded. In brilliant flashes, their metal hulls vaporized in seconds. "Evasive maneuvers," Lisa ordered. "All ships scatter and engage at will." The small human fleet of 12 ships spread out and began firing at the enemy. Their missiles and plasma cannons seemed like toys compared to the alien weapons. Most Shots bounced harmlessly off Zeltharian shields. The USS Liberty shook as enemy fire found its mark. "Hull breach on Deck 7, reported Chief Engineer Tony Garcia over the comm. "I've sealed it off, but we can't take many more hits like that." "Captain, the Yorktown just went down," Murphy called out. "The Phoenix is heavily damaged and falling back." Lisa watched another human ship die in a ball of fire. They were losing badly, just as expected, but every minute they held the aliens. Attention was another minute for the evacuation ships to get away. "Focus fire on their command ship," she ordered. "All remaining vessels, concentrate on the flagship." The surviving human ships turned their weapons on the massive Zeltharian command vessel. For a moment, their combined firepower seemed to strain the alien shields. Then return fire came like the wrath of an angry god. The destroyer, Franklin, took a direct hit and simply vanished. The cruiser Denver lasted a few seconds longer before its reactor exploded. Within minutes, only the Liberty and 2 other ships remained. "Captain, the evacuation fleet is clear," Pete reported. "They made it to hyperspace." Lisa nodded. At least they had accomplished something. "All right, people, we've done our job. Time to—" "Ma'am, wait," interrupted Amy Brooks from the tactical station. "I'm reading massive troop transports moving toward the surface. They're going to land and occupy the colony." Lisa's jaw tightened. She looked down at New Phoenix Colony, where millions of people were still trapped. The Zeltharians weren't just going to bombard the planet from orbit. They wanted to take it intact, which meant ground troops, which meant the civilians below would face occupation, slavery, or worse. "Change of plans," she said. "We're going down to the surface." "Captain?" Murphy looked confused. "The Liberty is finished up here anyway, but maybe we can do some good on the ground. Plot a course for the main spaceport." "That's insane," Garcia said over the comm. "We'll be sitting ducks down there." "We're sitting ducks up here too," Lisa replied. "At least on the surface we might be able to help people." The Liberty limped toward the planet as Zeltharian landing. Craft filled the sky like metal rain. The alien ships were massive, each one carrying thousands of soldiers. Lisa counted at least 50 craft heading for different parts of the colony. As they descended through the atmosphere, Lisa could see the chaos below. People were running through the streets, some trying to reach shelters, others just running, with no destination in mind. A few police and local militia were setting up barricades, but they had nothing that could stop an alien invasion force. The Liberty touched down at the spaceport with a grinding crash. Half the landing gear had been shot away, and the ship settled at an awkward angle. Smoke poured from damaged systems. "Everyone grab weapons and emergency supplies," Lisa ordered. "We're abandoning ship." Her crew of 37 people gathered, what they could carry, and prepared to face an enemy that had conquered half the galaxy. Lisa looked around at their faces. Some were scared, some were angry, but all of them were determined to fight. "I won't lie to you," she told them. "We're probably going to die today, but we're going to make them remember us. We're going to show these aliens that humans don't go quietly." The first Zeltharian landing craft touched down just as Lisa's people finished evacuating the Liberty. Through the smoke and chaos, she could see alien soldiers beginning to pour out of their transports. They were tall and armored, carrying weapons that hummed with deadly energy. Lisa checked her rifle and looked at her small band of defenders. 37 humans against an entire invasion force. The odds were impossible, but that had never stopped humanity before. "All right, people," she said. "Let's go to war." The Zeltharian soldiers moved through New Phoenix Colony like a plague of metal and death. Lisa Kane watched from her position behind an overturned transport as the aliens set up their first checkpoint near the spaceport. Their armor gleamed in the smoky air, and their weapons could cut through steel like paper. "Captain, we count at least 200 hostiles in the immediate area," whispered Sergeant Amy Brooks. She had her binoculars trained on the enemy position. "More coming in every minute," Lisa nodded. Her small team had taken shelter in the ruins of the spaceport terminal after the Liberty was destroyed by orbital bombardment. The aliens had waited until her crew evacuated, then turned the ship into scrap metal with a single blast from above. They were sending a message. "Jake, what's the situation with the civilians?" she asked. Lieutenant Murphy lowered his radio. "Not good. The aliens are herding people into detention centers across the city. Anyone who resists gets shot. Local police tried to fight back at the government district. The Zeltharians wiped them out in minutes." Lisa felt anger burn in her chest. These people had done nothing wrong except be human. They deserved better than to be cattle for an alien empire. "Tony, tell me you have some good news about weapons," she said to her chief engineer. Tony Garcia looked up from the equipment he had been examining. "The spaceport has industrial fabricators in the maintenance bay. If I can get them working, I might be able to make some surprises for our new friends." "What kind of surprises?" "Explosives, mostly. The fabricators aren't designed for weapons, but I can improvise. Maybe some electromagnetic pulse devices, too. Their armor runs on power cells." Dr. Helen Ross crawled over from where she had been treating wounded civilians. "Lisa, I've been talking to the survivors. The aliens are using some kind of neural interface to interrogate people. They're learning everything about our defenses, our culture, our weaknesses. Any idea how to stop it?" "Not yet. But I noticed something. The Zeltharians seem to rely heavily on their command structure. When their officers give orders, the regular soldiers follow without question. If we could disrupt their communications," Lisa's mind began working. "They might lose coordination." "Good thinking, Helen." A new sound filled the air. Heavy footsteps and alien voices speaking in their harsh language. Lisa peered around the corner and saw a patrol of 6 Zeltharian soldiers approaching their position. She made quick hand signals to her team. Amy and Jake moved to flanking positions, while Pete Johnson and 2 other crew members prepared to provide covering fire. Lisa waited until the aliens were close enough to see their yellow eyes through their helmet visors. "Now," she whispered. The humans opened fire from 3 directions. The Zeltharians were caught completely off guard. Their armor protected them from most human weapons, but concentrated fire at close range found weak points. 2 aliens went down immediately. The survivors tried to return fire, but they were confused and disoriented. They had expected to face cowering civilians, not organized resistance. Lisa put 3 rounds into the chest of the patrol leader, and his armor finally gave way. The remaining Zeltharians retreated, calling for reinforcements. "We need to move," Lisa said. "They'll be back with more friends." Her team gathered their equipment and wounded, then slipped deeper into the ruins of the spaceport. Behind them, they could hear alien voices growing louder and angrier. "Captain, where are we going?" asked Pete. "The maintenance bay. Tony needs to get those fabricators working." They reached the bay just as the first explosions echoed from their previous position. The Zeltharians were bombing the terminal rather than risk more ambushes. Lisa smiled grimly. Good. Let them waste ammunition on empty buildings. The maintenance bay was a massive space filled with industrial equipment. Tony immediately went to work on the fabricators while the rest of the team set up defensive positions. Lisa studied the layout and began forming a plan. "Helen, you said their communications are important. Can we track their signals?" The doctor nodded. "Pete might be able to do it with the right equipment. These fabricators have some powerful sensors." "Do it. I want to know where their command posts are." Over the next several hours, Lisa's team turned the maintenance bay into a fortress. They welded metal plates over the windows, set up overlapping fields of fire, and created multiple escape routes. Tony worked tirelessly on the fabricators, producing improvised explosives and electromagnetic devices. "First batch is ready," he announced, holding up a device that looked like a metal sphere. "These are EMP grenades. They should disable Zeltharian equipment within a 20-meter radius." "How many can you make?" "Maybe 50 by tomorrow if I Push the fabricators hard, Lisa nodded. It wasn't much against an entire army, but it was a start. Pete looked up from his equipment. Captain, I've been monitoring their communications. The Zeltharians have 3 main command posts in the city, one at the government building, one at the power plant, and one at the main communication hub. What are they saying? It's hard to translate everything, but they're frustrated. War Commander Vextar Zol is angry about the resistance they're facing. He expected humans to surrender immediately, like most species do. Amy crawled over from her watch position. Ma'am, we've got company. Looks like a full squad moving toward our position. Lisa checked her weapon. Everyone ready? The Zeltharian squad approached cautiously this time. They had learned from the fate of the patrol. Lisa watched them through a crack in the metal plating as they spread out and began surrounding the building. Wait for it, she whispered. The aliens reached the entrance and began cutting through the barricaded door with energy weapons. The metal glowed and melted under their tools. Lisa counted 12 soldiers, all heavily armed and armored. Tony, you ready with those EMPs? As ready as I'll ever be. The door collapsed inward, and Zeltharian soldiers poured through the opening. Lisa waited until they were fully inside, then gave the signal. Tony activated 3 EMP devices simultaneously. The effect was immediate and devastating. The aliens' armor lost power, their weapons went dead, and their communications failed. For a moment, they stood frozen in confusion and panic. Lisa's team opened fire with everything they had. Without their powered armor, the Zeltharians were vulnerable. The battle was over in seconds, leaving 12 dead aliens scattered across the floor. That actually worked, Amy said, sounding surprised. Don't get overconfident, Lisa warned. They'll adapt. They always do. She was right. Within an hour, more Zeltharian forces arrived. This time they brought heavy weapons and began systematically destroying the building from the outside. Lisa realized they couldn't stay in one place much longer. New plan, she announced. We're going mobile, hit-and-run tactics. Make them afraid to patrol in small groups. Where do we base ourselves? Jake asked. Lisa looked at the city map Pete had spread out. New Phoenix Colony was a maze of industrial districts, residential areas, and commercial zones. Plenty of places to hide and strike from. Everywhere and nowhere, we become ghosts. We hit them when they don't expect it, then disappear before they can respond. We make this occupation as costly as possible. Dr. Ross looked worried. Lisa, there are only 37 of us left. We can't fight an entire army. We don't have to fight them all. We just have to make them think twice about what they're doing. Here. Every Zeltharian soldier who dies sends a message back to their empire. Humans don't roll over and play dead. As if to emphasize her point, another explosion shook the building. The aliens were getting closer. Time to go, Lisa said. Grab everything portable. Leave the heavy equipment. Her team moved quickly and efficiently. Within minutes, they had gathered their weapons, the portable EMPs, and essential supplies. Tony rigged the remaining fabricators to explode when the Zeltharians entered. They slipped out through a service tunnel just as alien soldiers breached the main bay. Behind them, the building erupted in a massive explosion that lit up the night. Sky Lisa led her people through the dark streets of New Phoenix Colony. Around them, the city burned under alien occupation. But in the shadows, humanity's resistance was just beginning. Where to now, Captain? Amy asked. Lisa smiled coldly. We're going hunting. 3 weeks into the occupation, the Zeltharians had learned to fear the darkness. Lisa Kane moved through the abandoned shopping district like a shadow. Her team spread out in careful formation behind her. They had become something the alien empire had never encountered before, humans who refused to stay beaten. Contact ahead, whispered Maria Lopez through her comm. The former police sniper had joined their group after the Zeltharians executed her fellow officers. 2 guards at the supply depot, standard patrol route. Lisa checked her watch. The aliens were nothing if not predictable. Every 4 hours, they sent the same 2-soldier patrol to check their supply dumps. It was a mistake they would pay for. Tonight. Rick, you ready with the surprise? She asked. Demolitions expert Rick Carter grinned in the darkness. He had been a mining engineer before the invasion, but his knowledge of explosives translated well to guerrilla warfare. Charges are set, Captain. When those supply crates go up, they'll see the flash from orbit. Lisa's team had grown over the past weeks. Word of their resistance had spread through the occupied city, and volunteers came forward despite the terrible risks. She now commanded nearly 80 people, all of them angry and determined to fight back. Nick Adams, their infiltration specialist, emerged from the shadows near the depot. Before the invasion, he had been a maintenance worker who knew every tunnel and service passage in the city. Now he was their eyes and ears behind enemy lines. The guards just switched positions, he reported quietly. New patrol coming in 15 minutes. The supply area is clear except for automated defenses. What kind of defenses? Motion sensors and automated turrets. But I found the control panel. Give me 30 seconds and I can shut them down. Lisa nodded. This was the kind of operation they had been running for weeks. Hit the Zeltharians where they were weak, take what they needed and disappear before reinforcements arrived. The aliens had superior technology, but humans had something they didn't understand, the ability to adapt and improvise. Everyone in position, she whispered into her comm. Her team moved like ghosts through the ruined buildings. Amy Brooks led one squad to the north exit, while Jake Murphy took another group to secure their escape route. Pete Johnson monitored enemy communications from a hidden position, ready to warn them if reinforcements were called. The plan was simple. Nick would disable the automated defenses, Rick would plant his charges on the supply crates, and Maria would eliminate the guards with her sniper rifle. They would be in and out in under 10 minutes. Lisa watched through her binoculars as Nick slipped past the motion sensors and reached the control panel. His fingers worked quickly on the alien interface. After weeks of studying captured Zeltharian equipment, several of her people had learned to operate their basic systems. The automated turrets powered down silently. Nick gave her a thumbs up from across the depot. Maria, you're clear to engage, Lisa whispered. 2 suppressed shots echoed faintly in the night air. The Zeltharian guards dropped where they stood, never knowing what hit them. Maria had become frighteningly good at killing the occupiers. Guards down, she reported. No movement from the main compound. Rick and his demolition team moved in, quickly. They placed explosive charges on the supply crates, while Lisa's other people gathered weapons and equipment. The Zeltharians had been stockpiling energy cells, ammunition, and communication devices. All of it would be useful to the resistance. Charges set, Rick announced. We've got maybe 20 minutes before they explode. Lisa was about to give the order to withdraw when Pete's voice crackled over the comm. Captain, we've got a problem. I'm picking up encoded transmissions from the main base. Something big is happening. What kind of something? I can't decode it all, but I heard War Commander Vexitar Zol's name mentioned several times. And yours. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. The alien commander had been hunting her personally for the past week. His soldiers had started calling her the Ghost Commander after she had escaped several traps meant specifically for her. Time to go, she ordered. Everyone out now. Her team moved quickly toward their escape routes. But as they reached the edge of the depot, floodlights suddenly blazed to life, turning night into day. The trap had been waiting for them. It's an ambush, Amy shouted over the comm. Zeltharian troops moving in from all directions. Lisa counted at least 50 alien soldiers surrounding the depot. Their weapons were already charging, energy building in the barrels. This was more than a patrol. It was a coordinated operation, designed to capture or kill her entire team. Rick, how long until those charges blow? 18 minutes. That's too long. We need a distraction now. Maria's rifle cracked from her position on a nearby rooftop. One of the floodlights exploded in a shower of sparks. I can take out their lights, but there are too many of them. Lisa's mind raced through their options. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and trapped in an open area. But the Zeltharians had made one mistake. They thought like an empire that had conquered 1,000 worlds. They expected their enemies to panic and surrender. Nick, can you get to that control panel again? Maybe, but it's right in the middle of their kill zone. Do it. When I give the signal, turn everything back on. The motion sensors, the turrets, everything. Captain, those turrets will target us too. Lisa smiled grimly. Not if we're all ready. Moving. She switched to the general comm channel. All teams, listen carefully. When I say go, we're going to run straight at them. Ma'am, that's suicide, Jake protested. No, it's psychology. The Zeltharians have been fighting species that fear them. They expect us to cower and hide, so we're going to do the opposite. The alien commander's voice boomed across the depot, amplified by speakers on their armor. The universal translator made his words cold and mechanical. Ghost Commander, you are surrounded. Surrender now and your people will live. Continue to resist, and they will all die. Lisa picked up a fallen Zeltharian communication device and spoke into it. This is Captain Lisa Kane of the Earth Defense Force. If you want me, come and take me. War Commander Vextar Zol stepped out from behind a group of his soldiers. Even at a distance, Lisa could see his yellow eyes burning with hatred. You have caused me considerable embarrassment, human. My superiors question my ability to control a single primitive world. Maybe you should find an easier job. The alien commander raised his weapon. You will pay for your insolence. Now, Lisa shouted. Nick sprinted toward the control panel as Lisa's entire team charged straight at the Zeltharian positions. The aliens hesitated for a crucial second, confused by tactics that made no sense to them. In that moment of hesitation, Nick reached the controls and activated everything at once. The automated defense system came online and immediately began targeting everything that moved. Turrets swiveled and opened fire on both humans and Zeltharians. Motion sensors triggered alarms and additional defensive measures. But Lisa's people were already moving, weaving between the turret positions and using the chaos to close with their enemies. The Zeltharians, caught off guard by the unexpected assault, fell back in confusion. Take them down! Lisa yelled as she fired her rifle into a group of alien soldiers. The battle became a swirling melee of human determination against alien technology. Rick's charges chose that moment to detonate, adding to the chaos as the supply depot erupted in a massive fireball. The explosion knocked everyone to the ground and sent debris flying in all directions. When the smoke cleared, Lisa found herself face to face with War Commander Vextar Zol. The alien was wounded but still dangerous, his energy weapon trained. On her chest. You fight like an animal, he snarled. We fight like humans, Lisa replied, raising her own weapon. Before either of them could fire, Maria's sniper rifle spoke from the darkness. The shot took Vextar Zol in the shoulder, spinning him around and sending his weapon flying. Another time, human, the alien commander said, as his soldiers moved to evacuate him. This is not over. Lisa watched as the Zeltharians retreated into the night. Her team had won this battle, but the war was far from over. Still, they had proven something important tonight. They had faced the enemy's best commander and lived to tell about it. Casualties? She asked Amy. 3 wounded, none dead. We were lucky. Lisa looked around at the burning remains of the supply depot. Lucky wasn't the word she would have used. They had been smart, brave, and just a little bit crazy. It was a combination the Zeltharians were still learning to fear. Let's get out of here before they bring reinforcements, she said. As her team melted back into the shadows of New Phoenix Colony, Lisa allowed herself a small smile. The Zeltharians thought. They were hunting her, but they were wrong. She was hunting them. The Zeltharian command ship hung in orbit like a metal moon, its weapons trained on New Phoenix Colony below. Lisa Kane studied it through stolen alien binoculars from her position on the rooftop of the old communications tower. 2 months of Guerrilla warfare had taken its toll on both sides, but the final battle was coming. "Captain, we're picking up massive troop movements," reported Jake Murphy from his monitoring station. "Looks like they're pulling back to defensive positions around the spaceport." Lisa lowered the binoculars. Her resistance force had grown to over 300 fighters, but that was still nothing compared to the thousands of Zeltharian soldiers occupying the colony. However, something had changed in recent weeks. The aliens were no longer patrolling aggressively. They stayed in fortified positions and only moved in large groups. "They're scared," said Amy Brooks with satisfaction. "We've got them jumping at shadows." Dr. Helen Ross looked up from her medical supplies. "The psychological warfare is working, but we can't keep this up forever. We're running low on everything: ammunition, medical supplies, food, and people," added Maria Lopez quietly. The sniper had been with Lisa since the beginning, and the strain was showing on her face. "We lost 8 more fighters in last night's raid." Lisa nodded grimly. Every victory came at a cost they could barely afford, but they had achieved something remarkable. Word of their resistance had spread beyond New Phoenix Colony. Other human worlds were beginning to fight back, inspired by what a small group of defenders had accomplished. "Ma'am, incoming transmission," Pete Johnson called from his communication array. "It's on all frequencies. The Zeltharians want to talk." "Put it through." The familiar face of War Commander Vextar Zol appeared on their improvised screen. The alien looked older than when Lisa had first met him, his yellow eyes filled with frustration and rage. A scar ran down the left side of his face where shrapnel from one of Rick's explosives had found its mark. "Ghost Commander," he said, his voice dripping with hatred. "I grow tired of this game." "Then leave," Lisa replied simply. "You know I cannot do that. My empire does not retreat from primitive worlds, but I am prepared to offer you terms." Lisa waited, saying nothing. "Surrender yourself to me, and I will allow your people to live as slaves rather than corpses. Continue this resistance, and I will order orbital bombardment of the entire colony. 3 million civilians will die because of your stubbornness." "Counter offer," Lisa said. "You and me, single combat. Winner takes the colony." The alien commanders, mouth opened in what might have been laughter. "You challenge me? I am twice your size and strength." "My armor is powered by technology your species cannot comprehend." "Scared?" Vextar Zol's eyes blazed with fury. "I have conquered worlds, human. I have slain champions of a dozen species. You are nothing but an insect buzzing around my head. Then, it should be easy for you to crush me." There was a long pause. Lisa could see the alien commander thinking, weighing his options. His superiors were demanding results, and months of guerrilla warfare had made him look weak. A quick victory in single combat would restore his reputation. "Very well," he said finally. "But when I kill you, your resistance dies with you. Your people will surrender unconditionally. And if I win, your forces leave this world and never return." "You will not win, Ghost Commander, but I accept your terms. Tomorrow at noon, in the main square of your pathetic colony. Come alone." The transmission ended. Lisa's team looked at her with expressions ranging from admiration to horror. "Lisa, you can't be serious," Helen said. "He's right about his advantages. That armor of his can stop anything we have." "Not everything," Lisa replied. "I have a plan." The next morning, word of the duel spread throughout New Phoenix Colony. Humans emerged from hiding places and shelters to witness the confrontation. Even some Zeltharian soldiers seemed curious about their commander's decision to face the human leader in single combat. Lisa stood in the center of the square, wearing simple combat fatigues and carrying only a standard military knife. Around the edges of the square, hundreds of humans watched in tense silence. Zeltharian troops had set up a perimeter, their weapons ready in case the duel was some kind of trap. War Commander Vextar Zol arrived precisely at noon, his powered armor gleaming in the sunlight. He carried an energy blade that hummed with deadly power. The weapon could cut through steel like paper and had been the doom of countless alien champions. "You came," he said, sounding almost surprised. "I gave my word." The alien commander studied her for a moment. "You are either very brave or very foolish, human." "Probably both." Vexatar Zol raised his energy blade. "I will make this quick. You have fought with honor, even if you fight like an animal." "Thanks," Lisa said dryly. The alien charged with surprising speed for someone wearing heavy armor. His blade swept down in an arc that would have split Lisa in half if she had been where he expected her to be. Instead, she had already moved, rolling to the side and coming up behind him. Her knife struck the back of his armor but bounced off harmlessly. The Zeltharian spun around with fluid grace, his blade missing her by inches. Lisa backed away, circling her opponent and looking for weaknesses. "You cannot run forever," Vextar Zol said. "My armor protects me from your primitive weapons." "I'm not running," Lisa replied. "I'm learning." She darted in again, this time aiming for the joints where his armor plates connected. Again, her knife failed to penetrate, but she noted how he moved, how the armor shifted with his motions. The alien commander grew impatient and began pressing his attack more aggressively. His energy blade carved chunks out of the concrete where Lisa had been standing moments before. She stayed just out of reach, using her smaller size and greater agility to avoid his strikes. "Stand still and die with dignity," he snarled. "Where's the fun in that?" Lisa noticed something the alien hadn't considered. His powered armor was incredibly advanced, but it was also heavy. Each swing of his massive blade required energy, and the systems were working hard to compensate for the weight and maintain his speed. She began targeting his power cables, not trying to cut them but forcing him to defend them. The alien commander found himself twisted into awkward positions as Lisa attacked from unexpected angles. "You fight without honor," he accused. "I fight to win." 20 minutes into the duel, Lisa saw what she had been waiting for. Vextar Zol's armor was running hot from the constant exertion. Cooling vents had opened along his back and arms to prevent overheating. Most importantly, his energy blade was starting to flicker as power demands exceeded the suit's capacity. Lisa made her move. She charged straight at him as if making a desperate final attack. The alien raised his blade to meet her, but at the last second, she dropped into a slide that took her past his defenses and directly under his arm. Her knife found the cooling vent on his side and plunged deep into the armor's power core. Sparks flew as critical systems overloaded. The alien's energy blade flickered and died just as he brought it down toward Lisa's head. Vextar Zol staggered as his armor lost power. The weight that had been supported by mechanical systems suddenly became his own burden. He fell to one knee, struggling with armor that had become a metal prison. Lisa stood over him, her knife at his throat. "Yield!" The alien commander looked up at her with yellow eyes full of hatred and disbelief. Around the square, Zeltharian soldiers raised their weapons, but their training prevented them from firing while their commander was in the line of fire. "I do not yield to primitives," Vextar Zol gasped. "Then you die like one." Lisa pressed the knife deeper. A thin line of purple blood appeared on the alien's throat. For the first time since the invasion began, she saw fear in those yellow eyes. "Wait," he said. "You have won fairly. I acknowledge your victory." But Lisa had seen too much over the past 2 months. Too many friends dead, too many civilians murdered, too many homes destroyed. The knife in her hand trembled with rage. "Lisa, don't," called Dr. Helen Ross from the crowd. "You're better than this." Lisa looked around the square at the faces watching her. Humans who had suffered under occupation, who had lost everything to this alien's ambition. They deserved justice, but they also deserved to see that humanity could be better than their enemies. "You're right," she said to Helen. Then she looked down at Vextar Zol. "I could kill you now. Your own code of honor would demand it." But humans don't execute helpless enemies. She stepped back, keeping her knife ready. Honor the terms of our agreement. Leave this world and never return. The alien commander struggled to his feet, his dead armor making every movement difficult. You spare me? I'm giving you the chance to do the right thing. Don't make me regret it. Vex-Tarzol stared at her for a long moment. Something passed across his alien features that might have been respect. You are not what I expected, human. None of us are. The alien commander turned to his soldiers and spoke in his harsh native language. Lisa couldn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear from their reactions. Some of the Zeltharian troops looked shocked, others angry, but they began moving toward their transports. You have won today, Vex-Tarzol said to Lisa, but my empire will not forget this humiliation. Others will come. Let them come, Lisa replied. We'll be ready. The alien commander managed something that might have been a smile. I believe you will. 6 months after the liberation of New Phoenix Colony, Lisa Kane stood before a gathering of military leaders from across human space. The conference room aboard the battleship Defiance buzzed with conversation as officers studied reports from dozens of worlds where human resistance movements had sprung up. The Zeltharian Empire has withdrawn forces from 17 systems, reported Admiral Kate Sullivan, the silver-haired commander of the Earth Defense Force. Intelligence suggests they're consolidating their fleets and preparing for a major offensive. Lisa nodded from her position at the briefing table. Her promotion to colonel had come with new responsibilities she wasn't sure she wanted. Leading a small resistance group was different from planning strategy for an entire species. What about the other empires? Asked General William Grant, whose forces had successfully defended the Titan mining colonies. The Zeltharians aren't the only threat out there. The hegemony is watching and waiting, Admiral Sullivan replied. Same with the corporate states. They want to see how this plays out before committing to either side. Jake Murphy, now captain of his own ship, leaned forward in his chair. Ma'am, with respect, I think we're missing the bigger picture here. It's not about what the aliens are planning. It's about what we've already accomplished. Explain, Admiral Sullivan said. Jake activated a holographic display showing the local Galactic region. Red dots marked worlds under alien control, while blue dots showed human territories. But scattered throughout the red zones were new green dots. These are worlds where the local populations have begun resisting their occupiers, Jake said. 23. Different species across 47 systems. They're using tactics they learned from studying what happened at New Phoenix Colony. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. You're saying we started something? We started everything, Amy Brooks said from her position as head of special operations. Every species that was conquered and thought they had no choice is now fighting back. The Zeltharians call it the human virus. Dr. Helen Ross, now chief medical officer for the Resistance, pulled up another display. The psychological impact has been enormous. For centuries, the Zeltharian Empire conquered through fear and intimidation. Species surrendered rather than face orbital bombardment, but we proved that resistance was possible. At what cost? Asked General Grant. We've lost millions of people in the fighting since New Phoenix. Was inspiring alien rebellions worth that price? The room fell silent. It was a question that haunted Lisa every night. She thought about all the people who had died, all the families torn apart, all the worlds turned into battlefields. General, with respect, that's the wrong question, she said finally. The question isn't whether resistance was worth the cost. The question is whether we had any choice at all. She stood and walked to the holographic display. The Zeltharians didn't come to New Phoenix Colony looking for a fair fight. They came to enslave or exterminate us. Every species they've conquered faced the same choice. Fight and probably die, or surrender and definitely lose everything that made them who they are. Lisa touched one of the green dots on the display. These species are fighting because they've learned something we taught them. Sometimes the only choice you have is how you're going to face the end. We chose to face it standing up. Admiral Sullivan studied the display with thoughtful eyes. Colonel, what's your assessment of our current situation? We're in a war whether we wanted one or not, Lisa replied. The Zeltharians can't allow our rebellion to succeed because it threatens their entire empire. If word spreads that a primitive species defeated War Commander Vextar Zol in single combat, every subject race will start questioning why they're still under alien rule. Speaking of Vextar Zol, Captain Murphy said, intelligence reports suggest he's been stripped of his command and exiled. The Empire considers his defeat a disgrace. Lisa felt an unexpected pang of something that might have been sympathy. The alien commander had been her enemy, but he had also been a warrior who understood honor. His exile was probably a fate worse than death in Zeltharian culture. That brings us to the immediate problem, Admiral Sullivan said. Our sources indicate the Empire is sending War Commander Cathara Voss to finish what Vextar Zol started. She's never lost a campaign. When do we expect her to arrive? Lisa asked. 3 weeks, maybe 4? She's bringing the 3rd and 7th fleets, over 2,000 ships. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. Humanity's entire space navy consisted of maybe 300 vessels, most of them converted civilian ships with improvised weapons. Ma'am, we can't fight that in open battle, Captain Murphy said. We'd be slaughtered. No, we can't fight them in space, Lisa agreed. But we don't have to. She walked back to the display and began pointing to various systems. The Zeltharians expect us to meet them with traditional fleet tactics. Instead, we do what we did at New Phoenix Colony. We make every world they want to conquer into a nightmare for them. Guerrilla warfare on a galactic scale? Amy asked. Exactly. We can't match their technology, but we can make occupation so costly that they'll eventually give up. Every world they take will bleed them. Every system they occupy will require massive, resources to hold. General Grant shook his head. That's a strategy for a very long war, Colonel. Are you prepared for decades of conflict? Lisa thought about the faces of the people she had led during the liberation of New Phoenix Colony. Maria Lopez, who had lost her entire family to alien execution squads. Rick Carter, who had turned his engineering skills to creating ever more creative ways to destroy the occupiers. Pete Johnson, who had risked his life daily to monitor enemy communications. General, my people fought for 2 months against impossible odds because they believed in something bigger than themselves, she said. They believed that humanity deserved to be free. I think that's worth fighting for, no matter how long it takes. Admiral Sullivan stood and walked to the viewport, where stars stretched endlessly into the darkness. Colonel Kane, I'm placing you in command of Operation Wildfire. You'll coordinate resistance efforts across all human territories and any allied worlds willing to fight. Ma'am, I'm honored, but I'm not sure I'm the right person for that kind of responsibility. The Admiral turned back to her. Colonel, 6 months ago you were the captain of a destroyer. Today you're the symbol of human resistance across the galaxy. Species that have never heard of Earth know your name. You've become something bigger than any military rank. Lisa felt the weight of that responsibility settling on her shoulders. Millions of people would live or die based on the decisions she made in the coming months. What about reinforcements? She asked. Are any of the other species willing to fight alongside us? Some, Admiral Sullivan replied. The Centauri Commonwealth has pledged support, though they can't spare many ships. A few independent systems have offered bases and supplies. But mostly we're on our own, just like at New Phoenix Colony, Amy observed. The difference is scale, Lisa said. We're not just fighting for one world anymore. We're fighting for the right of any species to determine its own fate. Captain Murphy activated his personal communicator. Ma'am, I'm getting reports from the frontier. Zeltharian scouts have been spotted in the Ross system. War Commander Cathara Voss is moving faster than expected. Lisa looked around the room at the officers who would help her fight this impossible war. They were scared. She could see it in their eyes. But they were also determined, just like her people had been during those dark months on New Phoenix Colony. "How long until she reaches our territory?" Lisa asked. 2 weeks at most." Lisa nodded and walked back to the holographic display. She studied the positions of human worlds, alien fleets, and potential battlegrounds. Somewhere out there, an alien commander was planning the destruction of everything humanity had built. "Then we better get to work," she said. "Send word to all resistance cells. Tell them the real war is about to begin." As the meeting broke up and officers hurried to their ships, Admiral Sullivan approached Lisa privately. "Colonel, there's something else you need to know," she said quietly. "Our intelligence sources say that War Commander Vex Tar Zol sent a message to the Empire before his exile. He warned them that humans are not like other species they've conquered. He said we're too stubborn to surrender and too clever to defeat easily. Did they listen? That's what worries me." War Commander Keith Aravos specifically requested this assignment after reading his report. She's coming here not to put down a simple rebellion, but to face what she considers a worthy opponent. Lisa smiled grimly. "Good. Let her come. We'll show her exactly how worthy we can be." 3 days later, Lisa stood on the observation deck of New Phoenix Colony's rebuilt spaceport. The planet had become a symbol of human resistance, and volunteers from across the galaxy came here to train with the people who had fought in the original liberation. Jake Murphy joined her at the railing, looking out at the bustling activity below. Former civilians practiced with weapons while engineers worked on improvised defenses. It looked chaotic, but Lisa could see the underlying purpose in everything. "Remember when we thought 37 people couldn't make a difference?" Jake asked.